Greetings. Perk Integrative Health, PIH, Perk Integrative Health, is excited to share with you a masterclass on healthy weight for life. Because when we're carrying extra weight or mass, it's always in our fat pads. It turns out if you do a functional MRI scan of a person who weighs 120 pounds or a person who weighs 240 pounds, the difference is 120 pounds of fat. So how do we, in this challenging time, the 21st century, how do we establish habits that maintain good nutrition, things that are nutritious and delicious, while also renewing us and maintaining our health for life? In this masterclass, I am joined by three of my colleagues, Jayashree Money, who's a certified clinical nutritionist and a health coach trainer, Melissa Crispell, who leads our field team, and Amy Steves, who's going to be sharing a recipe about healthy weight using the Alkaline Way. I'm Russ Jaffe. I'm a physician and biochemist. As you can see from the societies in which I maintain a fellow status, that I'm either easily bored or have a Jewish mother. I am a founding and senior fellow of Health Studies Collegium Foundation, where we do outcome validation studies of these kinds of integrative and personalized health approaches. I am founder and chairman of Perk Integrative Health, ELISA Act Biotechnologies, provider of LRA tests, and RMJHRX. And you can find our work at rjaffe@4hsc.org, if you look at the bottom line of the screen, or at drrusselljaffe.com. And if you like these videos, the content and the style, please share them with your friends. Please let us know that we have met your needs or exceeded your expectations. And if you go to YouTube and look for Dr. Russell Jaffe, you'll find a number of topics that may be of interest to you, where we share information and inspiration, news you need to know, and solutions you can use today in the challenging 21st century, not basically reiterating what we knew in the 19th or 20th century. Now, when we talk about healthy weight, we very quickly get to sugar regulation and insulin and cortisol, which is a stress hormone. Now, insulin regulates your blood sugar, but it's really a growth factor. And so if your insulin goes up, you're likely to retain weight. And if your insulin is healthier and lower, you're likely to burn off calories more easily. So glucose and insulin and stress hormones interrelate in regard to fat metabolism and the mitochondria. The mighty mitochondria is the battery of your cell. It's what produces the energy and removes the toxins by making them more water soluble. So it's a very important piece, an organelle. It's a part of your cells. Now, insulin resistance is very common, and that means your hemoglobin A1C is above 5%. It means you have extra sugar stuck onto protein, and the consequence of that, in essence, is to put icing, like cake icing, on top of what should be healthy, the protein. So when you have extra sugar, it would harm the cell, so the cell is smart enough to stick it anywhere it can, including on any protein that's available. And when you have more than 5% of sugar on your hemoglobin, the molecule that carries oxygen, a kind of important molecule, you have a measure of the average extra sugar. Healthy people have less than 5% hemoglobin A1C. I'm glad to tell you that after I lost about 65 pounds, and I don't plan to find them again, after losing the weight, my most recent hemoglobin A1C, and I check every 6 months, was below 5%. Now, inflammation is really repair deficit. So the second aspect of healthy sugar and energy has to do with repair, often known as inflammation. And I'm a doubly board certified pathologist, but when you look through the lens of pathology, you see the problem. When you look through the lens of physiology, you see the opportunity. So one of the privileges that we have is to think deeply about what everybody else believes and find something more at the cause rather than at the consequence level. So when a doctor talks about inflammation, they're generally talking about a smoldering fire to be fought and suppressed. When I tell you you have a repair deficit, I hope your next question is, how do I correct my repair deficit? How do I evoke my healing responses? How do I return my body to the place where it can restore, renew, rehabilitate me? And if you're carrying extra weight, chances are your digestion is imperfect, you have maldigestion, dysbiosis, atrophy and enteropathy of your digestive capacities, and as a consequence, your body is being constantly invaded with partially digested food remnants that distract and burden your immune, defense, and repair system. So during the day, your immune system is on alert in case anything foreign comes in to invade. During restorative sleep, notice I did say sleep and restorative in the same sentence. With restorative sleep, your immune system goes out to repair you. So yes, you want to be active during the day, and yes, you want to sleep deeply and restoratively at night. And you want to eat the foods that you can digest, assimilate, take in, and eliminate without immune burden. And for most of us, these delayed reactions occur hours after exposure, sometimes days or weeks after exposure. So you need a cell culture, an LRA type of test, a delayed allergy test, an ex vivo test that we'll talk a little bit more about. And then you follow the plan to alkalinize and energize, to evoke healing responses and repair, so that you can achieve a healthy weight naturally. Obesity is a national epidemic. It induces higher costs, more suffering, lost productivity, lower quality of life. And when you calculate all of the many ways in which obesity and its consequences affect the economy, our social economy, the burden is $1.7 trillion a year. Notice the right-hand lower part of the slide. So, if we look back just a few years, when I had been in medicine only about 15 years at that time, but when we look back, you notice that most of the states are blue and none of the states are yellow or red. Now, some of them are white, which means we didn't have enough data, but notice the blue and the darker blue in 1985. How about 30 years later? That's one generation. Notice there's no blue, same criteria, but no blue, and lots of states are in the what my grandmother would call oy vey, which means way too much obesity and far too little habit change. Because folks are eating a highly processed diet with fast food that I consider to look like food, but I have questions about whether it is really nutritious. And last year, things are getting worse. So in the southern tier of the United States, 1 out of 3 people is overweight. In the Midwest, about the same. Again, as my grandmother would say, the rents are going up and the ceilings are coming down. Now, what are the indices that we are familiar with? There's body mass index, BMI. It has some strengths and some limitations. And if you're less than 18.5, you're too thin. If you're 18.5 to 25, you're normal. 25 to 30, you're overweight, but not yet obese. More than 30, and you are indeed obese. So we can measure the body mass index, although sometimes food processing companies are able to fool the BMI, but not the body. And now, what we could broadly call toxic eating. About half of people eat because they need more vitamin C, or they eat because they're distressed, or they eat because everyone else is eating, or they eat because they're bored. But none of those is a really good reason to eat. You should eat when you're hungry. You should eat the foods that your body can take in and benefit from. So when we look at extra weight or obesity, we're really looking at stress management and distress. We're looking at metabolic syndrome, which by definition means too much blood sugar, too much insulin, and too little moderation. This sets up chronic hospitality to pathogens. Now, pathogens are bad. Pathogens are harmful bugs and other infections. So if you want to induce distress, metabolic syndrome, and chronic pathogens, then be deficient in repair, have a repair deficit known as inflammation, and you're on your way to getting worse. It has become so common in America for people to be overweight and to suffer from all of these afflictions that it is statistically normal. Not to be confused with the common parlance or common sense meaning of normal. It's a statistical term meaning a lot of other people have it too. Now, what about healthy weight in the alkaline way? We want to reduce immune burden. That means LRA by ELISA Act tests that break the cycle of dysfunction, and then follow an alkaline way plan with balanced meals with a low GI, a low glycemic index, high in wholeness and nutrition, fiber and healthy protein, and include a suitable plan for plant-powered protein-based meal replacement. One of the meals a day should be under 200 calories, provide you 6 to 9 hours of satisfaction and satiety, and be a whole, nutritious, and delicious meal. And when possible, source organic and biodynamic or CSA foods, community-supported agriculture foods. And yes, the fat burner is L-carnitine, most active in the fumarate form, synergistic with GABA, so that you can have a healthier glucose to insulin balance, you can have healthier adrenal stress hormone balance, and you can have healthier fats, because there are some good fats. Not many of them, but there are some good fats. And yes, moving around, exercising is important. So with regard to carnitine and weight management, let's take a slightly deeper dive. Carnitine is made from 2 amino acids, lysine and methionine. Carnitine is the shovel that brings the biological fat to the furnace or mitochondria of the cell. And we prefer the L-carnitine fumarate because it does energize and alkalinize, that's the fumarate, and it is nature's preferred form, the L-carnitine. This decreases leptin, and leptin is the hormone that says you haven't eaten enough, please eat more. So it improves loss of weight by decreasing leptin. And it regulates insulin, insulin-like growth factors, IGF 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to improve blood sugar and energy production, to improve heart, cardiac energy metabolism, to have a healthier blood pressure because small blood vessels open and close properly, to reduce hyperlipidemia, to reduce too much fat in the blood. So, continuing with our deeper dive into carnitine and the carnitine fumarate, fatty acid oxidation has to do with breaking big fats into 2 carbon units that are then fed in to produce energy in that mitochondrial battery. And in this context, you improve the utilization of amino acids and carbohydrates by forming acetyl-CoA. That is what feeds the battery production system. This prevents lactic acid buildup. And for those of you who go out and exercise, you will be able to exercise to a higher peak and a faster recovery because carnitine fumarate in this micellized soft gel reduces exercise-induced fatigue and shortens your recovery time. Now, carnitine, in this slide, you see what goes on at the cellular molecular level. Notice on the left, sugar is coming in and being metabolized down to pyruvate and then into the mitochondria where the TCA cycle, the Krebs tricarboxylic acid cycle is. And on the right side, you see that fat is beta oxidized inside the mitochondria to 2 carbon units, the acetyl-CoA that you see on the bottom, that is then chemically converted into energy. But notice on the right middle of the slide, you must have adequate L-ascorbate, you must have ferrous or reduced iron, you must have magnesium B6 and B2. So you need pyridoxine and thiamine, you need magnesium and L-ascorbate, and you need iron in the healthier ferrous, not ferric form. Now, Perk Carnitine Plus Guard is globally patented, unique to us. It has stable, tiny nano droplets that are taken up by neutral pores and provided in a long shelf life soft gel. Now, GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, GABA is important for weight management. It is the chief counterbalancing neurotransmitter in the brain. It inhibits excess nerve activity, like jumpy nerves. It improves sleep, mood, and it makes you more psychologically resilient. GABA deficiency is associated with overeating to counteract the stress and anxiety from GABA deficiency. And healthy growth hormone production is important for maintaining lean muscle mass. And growth hormone comes out during the first 3 restorative sleep cycles in just a few minutes at the end of each cycle. So we do respect physiology and biochemistry. We apply them in all of our innovative Perk products. Now there's kelp extract, a very specific sea vegetable. That's an excellent source of iodine, calcium, folate, vitamin K, vitamin A, iron, and magnesium. Iodine is really important, and most of us get too little. People who eat a lot of sea vegetables get a lot of iodine, and I can tell you from long-term global studies that most of us need a little iodine to survive, but much more iodine to be healthier. And this kelp acts as a fat blocker, inhibiting absorption of fat from the gut. It supports thyroid repair and the gland's function. And it facilitates elimination of toxins. It gets the bad stuff out. And then we micelize in medium-chain triglycerides. MCT increases energy expenditure, quickly helping to burn off the extra fat. Medium-chain triglycerides can be absorbed straight from the GI tract. They are not stored. They do boost metabolism, and that's why we use them in so many of our micellized soft gels. MCT, or medium-chain triglycerides, also cuts your appetite and reduces fat storage. It makes you leaner, but also more energetic. And MCT, or medium-chain triglycerides, are valuable as parts of any, especially alkaline, weight loss program. So Perk Carnitine Plus Guard is a marriage of micellized L-carnitine fumarate with GABA, kelp extract, and MCT. So healthy weight management is to get more of the good stuff that is pro-repair and truly nutritious. And we have the preferred form of carnitine, the L-carnitine fumarate, plus sugar regulation, the glucose repair guard, the adrenal distress guard, the plant-powered meals, and the distilled under nitrogen fish oil that is rich in EPA-DHA, known as Perk EPA-DHA guard, that is the highest concentration of healthy omega-3 fats without the contaminants commonly found in fish oils. So Perk's plant-powered protein provides you 20 grams of easy-to-digest pea-based protein, 5 grams of net carbs, very low glycemic load and glycemic index, and ultra-low, less than 10% of calories from fat, only 140 calories or so per serving, and rich in fiber or complex carbs to help digestive transit. And you can do this in a paleo, keto, low-carb diet that is still alkaline forming and avoid the adversity. So we want you to be well and healthy and happier by selecting one meal a day from PERK, plant-powered protein, and its synergistic friends, as I've indicated in a slide or two ago. Now, with regard to fiber, almost everyone needs more, because fiber slows the uptake of sugar, it reduces insulin levels and leptin and cholecystokinin, and most importantly, if you increase your fiber intake, you will decrease your weight. So the Alkaline Way plus PERK plant-powered protein meals are opportunities to embrace life and to evoke healing responses. And healthy weight is about a balance between defense and repair. You want your immune system to be able to defend and repair you. And eating a wide variety of organic or biodynamic whole alkaline forming foods is recommended, guided by individual immune tolerance LRA tests. So have the LRA tests and look at the interpretation, because it will show you hidden places where you might get exposed to some of these foreign invaders, and how to substitute so it's a window of opportunity and not a life of deprivation. So healthy weight means to alkalinize for life, and we suggest that you check your urine acid-alkaline balance, or pH, after rest. And if it's yellow or sandy colored, you're less than 6.5, you have too much acid and too little magnesium, and you need to increase the magnesium and choline citrate intake. And if it's green, in 6.5 to 7.5 range, you're fine, which means just 2 doses a day to reach your need for magnesium. So magnesium is the forgotten electrolyte. It is essential to stay alkaline of cells, for cells to stay alkaline and to be energetic and resilient. And on the right side of the slide, you see our digital, but also in print, Joy in Living the Alkaline Way. You can download the digital copy online for free. You can purchase the physical copy, and many people use it as a guide for health coaching. So whether we're talking, we want to achieve healthy weight and healthy weight for life. This means getting healthier glucose, insulin, cortisol balance. It means rethinking inflammation as repair deficit. And it means taking the overburdened immune system and rehabilitating it so that what you eat can be digested, taken in and assimilated, and eliminated without immune burden. So an Alkaline Way lifestyle is what we have over the last decades confirmed. This is consistent with the Greek Mediterranean diet that Artemis Simopoulos has advocated for. This is consistent with many traditional diets. It is consistent with the traditional Japanese diet. So you tell us the cuisine you prefer, and we'll show you how to enjoy an alkaline way of life so that, and this is my goal, that I'll be 120 and dancing with my friends. At the moment, I feel that with the information, inspiration, and motivation we can provide, that you will put in the effort so that what Jayashri Mani and Melissa Crispell and Amy Steves and I are sharing with you in this Healthy Weight, the Alkaline Way Masterclass can become your habits for life. So choose life, be lively, stay alkaline, and get to your healthy weight naturally.
Hello and welcome to the PIH Masterclass on Healthy Weight, the Alkaline Way. I'm Jayashri Mani, clinical nutritionist, and I'm on the technical team of PERK Integrative Health and ELISA Act Biotechnologies. Excess weight is not fun, and we're all trying to find out ways and means to get that under control. Going by the body mass index, which is a really popular indice of weight measurement, you want to be between that 18.5 to 25 number, and with underweight being less than 18.5 and obese being above 30. However, because this doesn't take into consideration how the weight has been distributed throughout the body, the waist to hip ratio may be a better indice, maybe a more predictive indice, and is getting a lot more traction these days. Obesity or overweight has a lot to do with what we put into our mouths and how we actually expend those calories, burn those calories. When there's that mismatch, then boom, the pounds just start adding on. For example, if you look at a simple fast food meal, it provides almost 73% of the saturated fat that is recommended by the RDA. In contrast, while we know that we have to keep moving and exercising, according to a 2018 survey, even whether it's children or adults, less than a quarter of our population even actually had that recommended amount of physical activity. While there are lots of mechanisms and theories behind how weight gets added on or what causes obesity, I think central to the whole mix of things is a phenomenon called insulin resistance. Now, insulin resistance seems to connect a host of conditions, whether it's diabetes, whether it's hypertension, cardiovascular disease, or obesity. And it also is a trigger factor for inflammation and oxidative stress that can in turn precipitate not only insulin resistance itself, but also all these conditions. So what is insulin resistance actually? So insulin is a hormone that's secreted by the pancreas. It's also called a growth factor, actually. And its primary role is to get that glucose inside the cell. So whatever we eat breaks down, especially carbohydrates, breaks down into glucose. And these glucose molecules need to enter the cell for that energy to be produced. The insulin is the key to that lock. It opens the doors for glucose to get in. And when that key or when that mechanism is functioning well, we're in a state of a good insulin sensitivity, which means that the body is on the normal track. There's insulin sensitivity, the cells are receptive to the insulin, and glucose is getting inside the cell. But when there's a resistance, then that's when insulin is not able to do its job. There's more glucose outside the cell, and there's less going inside the cell. And that's causing for insulin to redirect that excess glucose, which is outside the cell and in the bloodstream, to go into the fat cells, the adipocytes, and trigger what's called adipogenesis or fat synthesis. So we're saying insulin resistance causes obesity, but obesity causes insulin resistance too. So the cause then becomes the consequence. One of the mechanisms connecting insulin resistance and obesity is the free fatty acids that are circulating in the bloodstream. Now, free fatty acids, what they will do is start promoting an insulin resistance type of situation in the liver and the muscle, and this phenomenon is called lipotoxicity. Another mechanism is the hormone called adiponectin, which is secreted by the adipose tissue. It increases insulin sensitivity in most individuals, in fact, in lean individuals. And this hormone is in very low amounts in obese people. So if there's less of this hormone, then that's going to trigger an insulin-resistant type of situation. However, if once the weight loss has been instigated, once the person starts losing weight, then this hormone comes to its normal levels. Similarly, there's another hormone called resistin, which has been implicated in causing insulin resistance as well. As we saw earlier, inflammation and insulin resistance are kind of tightly connected. And this is kind of evident in the fact that adipocytes or the fat cells actually secrete cytokines, IL-6 or IL-1 beta, for example. And this actually feeds into the immune system connection, triggers the metabolic syndrome type of conditions, and increases insulin resistance in such people. So while putting together a protocol, a supplementation protocol, a healthy weight management protocol, we do want to look into what we eat, how we exercise, but also the most fundamental thing is to get the sugar and the insulin balance situated. And for that, we want to look into certain key products that we can add into our nutrition protocol. One of my favorites is called PERC Glucose Regulation Guard Forte, and this is a combination of herbs and minerals all getting together to get that glucose insulin balance that we so require. This product has a key nutrient called cortisolic acid that comes from banana leaf and increases the cellular uptake of glucose. It actually works by not only balancing or helping the glucose get into the cell, but also decreases the production of extra glucose by other mechanisms. Coupled with cortisolic acid is French lilac, 150 milligrams of that in this product, which has a key ingredient called galagine, and galagine helps in that glucose insulin balance as well. Bitter melon, huckleberry, and bilberry, Agnus castus form the rest of the herbs that make up this product. Agnus castus is really special because it provides that hormonal touch to this product, making sure that the glucose and insulin balance is not just insulin related, but also a factor of the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. And Agnus castus actually helps with that. Chromium is in the citrate form in this product. Citrate is a Krebs salt, so we like to put chromium citrate in this product to give it the alkalizing touch. And the function of chromium is directed towards improving insulin sensitivity and glucose control. It really works well on getting rid of that belly fat and improving the lean body mass that way. Along with chromium, we put vanadium in this product too. And vanadium is in the ascorbate form. It does a couple of things here. It seems there's more and more research coming in that shows that vanadium helps with blood glucose support. It actually decreases the blood sugar levels in the blood. It also decreases sugar absorption. So if you're absorbing less of the sugar, then that's getting less sugar to the cell as well. It also, and it basically moves it away from the other organs and utilizes it as energy. And it also gives it a full, nice, good feeling, or gives one a good feeling of satiety or fullness. So the less you feel hungry, the less you're going to eat. The diabetes, hypertension, obesity, atherosclerosis, other cardiovascular conditions, they all come together and form what's called metabolic syndrome. And it's under this big umbrella that all of these conditions reside. So they're very interconnected. Insulin resistance connects all of these together. And if we're addressing the insulin resistance issue, then we'll be able to address the rest of the metabolic syndrome conditions as well. There is a tight connection between adrenal distress, or the functioning of the adrenal glands, and obesity, blood sugar control, and all of these other conditions as well. The adrenal hormones, cortisol and DHEA, play a very significant role in this. And when there's eustress or adrenal balance, which means the DHEA and cortisol balance is there, that lends to the glucose and insulin also being in balance. For example, if you look at, if you look at this graph here, you'll see how adrenal fatigue can trigger that classic hypoglycemic crash or blood sugar crash. So one of the best things that we can do to try and get the insulin resistance under control is also to look at how the adrenals are functioning. And if there is a cortisol mismatch, if there is a cortisol DHEA imbalance, then that needs to be corrected so that we can get that insulin resistance also under control because of that reason. To tackle the adrenal distress, We have a wonderful product called Perk Adrenal Distress Guard that functions as this cortisol and DHEA balancer. It's a non-stimulating product, and it works on the energy systems at the cellular level. It is an herbal complex. It's a micellized soft gel, and it has rhodiola in it, rhodiola rosea callus. Now, rhodiola is an adaptogen. It not only works on the neurological aspect, but it also decreases depression and restores healthy sleep rhythm patterns, regulates moods, basically helps in the neurological balancing of the hormonal systems. The other aspect or other product in this formulation is a mixture of Magnolia officinalis and philodendron. This herbal complex actually work together. This herbal complex works together. They bind to the stress hormone receptors and work by decreasing or balancing that DHEA and cortisol hormones in the body. When we put this product to test, we found that it dramatically improved insulin resistance in our patients. In fact, if you look at this example, DG, just on 6 weeks on Perk Adrenal Distress Guard, the insulin resistance measured by HOMA and GI ratio both improved. We saw that in another patient of ours as well. Her name was ED. But basically, because the cortisol and DHEA balanced, that lent itself to the glucose and insulin also be balancing out. The insulin sensitivity increased in those people, insulin resistance decreased. This is our healthy weight management protocol that we're really fortunate in putting together. Dr. Russell Jaffe talked a little bit about carnitine and what that does and how that can improve fat metabolism. We talked a little bit about how glucose regulation guard can fit into this weight management protocol. Adrenal distress guard is going to be that hormonal support for you so that we can get the insulin resistance under check. And healthy fats need to be added as well so that you can replace the unhealthy fats with the healthy ones. And that's Perk EPA DHA guard that forms the crux of healthy weight protocol. Since we always believe in getting the good stuff in and the bad stuff out, Perk plant-powered protein guard is a fantastic addition to the healthy weight management protocol, coupled by these other nutrient supplements. And we hope that you will be able to add these products in your weight management protocol and try to combat excess weight and be able to manage weight effectively and in an alkaline way.
Hi, I'm Amy Steves with the Nutrition and Health Center in Houston, Texas. Healthy eating and healthy living became a priority for me and my family when my husband was diagnosed with a crippling autoimmune disease. Food is either going to be fuel for the body to heal and restore, or it's going to feed disease. So cooking delicious and nutritious food is possible for everyone. And I like to keep my recipes very simple, and so we don't have to spend too much time in the kitchen. Today we're going to be exploring how to make vegan tostadas, a recipe I just created myself. I started with an ingredient list of almond flour tortillas, fat-free organic refried pinto beans, you could use black beans as well, sweet onion, shredded zucchini, black olives, I sliced them. You can use sliced avocado, or you can use guacamole, and there are so many different ways to change up this recipe. But I'll just show you how I like to do mine. I warmed up and crisped up the tortilla. You can do it either in oil or you can do it dry. And then I like to spread my warm pinto beans on top. And then we're going to add the avocado, or it could be guacamole. And then we're going to add some onion, whatever onion you like. And you can put these in whatever order that you want. I like some black olives. You could do chopped tomatoes as well. And then I have shredded zucchini. You can use all different types of vegetables here. You could use shredded lettuce. You could use any vegetable here. And then I like to top it off with a garlic sauce. It's called Amy's Sensational Sauce. It's in our book, The Trinity Diet, which you can order on Amazon for more motivation and inspiration and recipes. But I like to spoon that on top. We use this sauce for so many things. We try to stay away from tomato sauces, but you could also use a pico on here. You could use a cashew queso and all different types of variations you can use for this recipe. So I hope you enjoy.
Hi, welcome to the Putting It All Together portion of the PIH, Perk Integrative Health, Healthy Weight, the Alkaline Way Masterclass. I'm sure you've enjoyed all of the presentations that have come before me, but if you haven't had a chance to watch them yet, I highly encourage you to check them out. My name is Melissa Crispell. I am the Clinical Training Specialist at Perk Integrative Health, and today we're going to take a deep dive into how to put all of this information together. I'm going to share with you, with permission, the story of Big Mike. So we're going to put all of this together, talking about the LRA by ELISA Act test, talking about detoxification, talking about targeted supplementation, fun, sweaty activity, aka exercise, and self-care. More importantly, mental wellness. Here we go. Here's Big Mike. He was called Big Mike for a reason. His A1C registered at 13.9 at the time that he finally agreed to go to the doctor. He had plenty of signs, or red flags as I like to call them, plenty of red flags along the way. His fasting blood sugar was 338. His weight, he estimated at 350 pounds. And when I say he estimated that, he estimated because the needle on the scale only went to 330 pounds. So he was guesstimating how many pounds were around the rest of the dial. As you can see, both by the photos and by the statistics or by the blood registers, that he was not in a good place at all. The greatest burdens to our immune system are remnants of incomplete digestion, diabetes, and environmental antigens. When we identify and substitute for the exposures, immune burden can be reduced and can even be eliminated. This is the reason that we turn to this particular system. Mike had just received a diagnosis from his medical doctor of diabetes. Mike understood that diabetes in his situation really was his choice. The foods that he was eating, not exercising, not taking care of himself, landed him in this position. Thankfully, he decided to take this road. He decided that healthy weight was where he wanted to be. He started to eat food that he could easily digest, assimilate, and eliminate without immune burden. He did this by starting with the LRA by ELISA Act test, but we're going to get into that in just a moment. What really turned the corner was making sure that he was eating a wide variety of organic and biodynamically grown alkaline foods. He let the results from the LRA by ELISA Act test guide the specific foods that he was eating or steering clear of. Let me talk to you about the LRA test just a little bit. The LRA test is all of these: functional, ex vivo, and comprehensive. It's functional in that it gives you information that you can really do something with. It's not like those IgG food tests that you've maybe heard of or even used before. Those tests are really giving you kind of a rear view mirror approach or a rear view mirror view of what may have been at some point in time. Whereas the LRA by ELISA Act test is telling you right here, right now, what your body is reactive to, what your immune system is not tolerating. It's ex vivo because it's the closest in-body experience happening outside of the body as possible. And if you'd like more information, you can always go to elizaact.com to learn more about the methodology. It's comprehensive because it's testing types 2, 3, and 4. There are no other tests on the market that are doing these things. We went to this program because the LRA by Eliza Act test was clinically substantiated in this diabetic medicine journal. After 6 months of implementing the recommendations following the LRA test, these particular diabetic participants showed a reduction in the hemoglobin A1C in both groups from best standard of care, 46% improvement in type 1 diabetes, 18% reduction in insulin in type 2 diabetes, and 13% reduction of the hemoglobin A1C levels in the type 2 diabetes as well. So we knew this program was the one that we wanted to use with Big Mike. You can see this slide here shows you the foods that he was reactive to. You can see olive, you can see turkey, you can see cucumber. Those are great foods for you, folks. And it goes to show that if you were doing an elimination diet, there is just about no way that you would be able to drill it down this far and know exactly what Big Mike was reactive to. You can see some not so great things on there as well. The FD&C red, the methylmercury, the sulfites, beet sugar. You can see that there were some things in his world that really needed to be cleaned up. And thankfully, he didn't accept that, you know, just because my dad had it and my 2 sisters have it, that I'm just destined to have it too. He really took control of his health and made sure that he did the process of, here's the next slide, getting the bad stuff out and putting the good stuff in. More than 100,000 chemicals have been introduced to our world in the last 50 years, and that makes detoxification absolutely vital. Our bodies are very resilient. Our bodies were divinely and uniquely created. We have innate detoxing ability through our lungs, our skin, our nose, our mouth, but our bodies just were not designed to handle the load that's coming to us in this current day in 2020. So looking at a multi-system program that supports detoxification was what we wanted to do with Big Mike, and he was very willing to do that. We use the PERC Detox Protocol, and I'll go through that really quickly for you. The 4 products consist of PERC Detoxing Guard. That's a sulfur-rich amino acid. It helps to remove toxic metals. It supports all phases of detoxification, phase 1, 2, and 3. We also have, PERC EPA DHA Guard. That's the omega-3 essential fatty acids helping to dissolve the fat-soluble toxins. This particular omega-3 product is ultra pure. There are no heavy metals and there are no other impurities. As a matter of fact, these essential fatty acids, these omega-3s, were distilled under a nitrogen blanket to reduce the possibility of rancidity. So, you know, this is probably the most ultra pure that you can find at this point. The third product is LivaGuard. LivaGuard is support for healthy liver function. It protects, it detoxifies, and it helps to prevent liver damage, not only during the detoxification, but throughout life. There's milk thistle silymarin in there. There's vitamin D, vitamin E, CoQ10. As you can tell, it's very nourishing. It's an antioxidant. It's a great all-around product to help you during this time of detoxification, but also, you know, in regular every day-to-day life, because the liver has a really big job to do. So we want to make sure we're supporting that. Last up, but certainly not least in this 4-product combination, is the PERC Potent C Guard. It helps to strengthen, repair, and energize the immune system. It helps to mobilize and remove toxins. I highly encourage you to download the vitamin C calibration protocol so that you can learn what your body's ascorbate need is. Every body is different, and even you know, just your own system, you'll notice that during times of extreme stress or travel or athletic performance, that your body's need for ascorbate will go up and then come back down again. So it's great to to do that on a regular basis. Maybe, weekly for a while and then move into monthly. But talk with your healthcare practitioner. They'll be able to help you with that. As you can see here, Big Mike embraced the whole Alkaline Way philosophy. He started exercising, following the Alkaline Way, meaning incorporating some home self-tests that we'll talk about a little bit later in just a couple more slides, incorporating prayer and meditation on a regular basis, and managing that stress. That is huge, folks. Even if you're not raging with anger, when you internalize that stress and you're hanging on to it, you have that negative self-talk, that reel that's going over and over in your head, that itself can damage those cells. And when we're dealing with damaged cells and how they regenerate and regrow and grow more, we're growing some damaged cells. So we want to make sure that we're giving our body the nutrients that it needs. We want to make sure that we are alkalinizing our system. We're going to talk about that home self-test in just a little bit, but also working on that stress management and that negative self-talk. You can see here that I think this might have been 2017. Big Mike participated in his first 5K race, and as you can tell, it was on St. Patrick's Day. I wonder how many of you realized why I'm giving this story here. You can tell that this particular story is very near and dear to my heart. Here's guides to supplementation, the home self-test that I was talking about. In the middle is the C calibration. That's the protocol is the instructions that you would use to accomplish the C calibration. Once upon a time was called the C flush. It'll help you to understand what your body's need for ascorbate is. There's also the first morning urine pH. This is how you're going to tell if your body's acidic or alkaline. In this particular kit, there are 15 days worth of strips. There's also a small color wheel that you can see over there in that bottom left corner. The ideal range to shoot for is 6.5 to 7.5, 6.5 to 7.5 on the little chart. So once you see the darker green and the bluish kind of color coming, then you know that you're in the optimal range. If it's staying yellow, that is really an indicator that it's time to do some more alkalinizing for your body. Incorporating salt and soda baths into your routine, incorporating the C calibration on a regular basis, incorporating magnesium and choline citrate, and those servings can be found inside the pH test kit. So that's why we say that it's self-tests that guide supplementation, because there are recommendations in each of these kits that if you're not in the optimal range, there are supplements that you can take. There are food choices that you can make that will get you into the range that you're most looking for. Last up on this list here is the GI Transit Time Test Kit. This is a test kit with 20 activated charcoal capsules in it. You'll take the amount of capsules for your weight, and there's a chart in there, but you'll take the amount of capsules for your weight. Probably at the end of the day is a good time to do it. After your evening meal, take it with a glass of water. Chart the time that you begin the challenge and the time that you end the challenge. And the time that the challenge ends is when you see the charcoal come back in your bowel movement. And hopefully that's in the 12 to 16 hour range. If it's not, there are supplement recommendations to help boost the motility and boost the digestive function inside that test kit. And of course, you can always call client services at 800-525-7372, and they'll be able to guide you as well. Now, as far as Big Mike and his healthy weight management went, PERC didn't have the plant-powered protein guard at that time, but we would recommend that you go ahead and put that in. You can replace 1, maybe even 2 meals per day. Talk with your medical professional and see if that's something that would work for you. Definitely the L-carnitine plus guard in there. Hopefully you heard Dr. Jaffe's talking about L-carnitine and how that is the shovel that fuels the fat to be burned. The max serving on that would probably be 2 capsules 4 times a day. That can help with that healthy weight management. In Big Mike's case, it was very, very important to get that glucose and insulin balance together. So we use the glucose regulation guard. There is a chart on the label that helps you with those servings, and you can serve those based on the patient's A1C or their fasting glucose, their fasting blood test there. Mike's medical doctor preferred that we use the A1C, so that's what we did. We're also taking Adreno Distress Guard, helping to nourish the HPA axis, helping to reset that cortisol level, and help with the circadian rhythms and get that good restorative sleep going as well. So last up on the list is the EPA DHA Guard, helping to reduce that inflammation through increased omega-3s. And here is the second, maybe the second or the third test that was run. You can see that there are a few more items here than there were on the last one. Sugar is still a big problem. So not only was his body not processing the sugar properly, but it was offending his immune system. Sugar cane, beet sugar, and as you can see, there's a strong food group. When you receive 2 or more reactions in a category or in a family, ELISA Act recommends that you avoid that whole grouping, that whole category, that whole family of products, because there could be cross-reactivity and it'll be causing the same problem even though you're substituting. But again, you can give EAB a call. You can go to elisaact.com, or you can get in touch with one of your clinical account specialists. They'll be glad to walk you through this whole results report and how it can benefit your clients and your patients. In summary, the Alkaline Way means taking time for the ones that you love. It means spending time in nature. It means laughter and lots of it. It means finding joy in all that you do. It's not just, oh, look at my pretty plate and here's the food that I'm eating, but then I'm going to go stress out and not exercise and not be in nature and not meditate or prayer, whatever it is for you that grounds you and centers you. You know, it's the whole package. It's understanding that we are exactly what we eat, drink, think, and do. You can't shortcut, you can't bypass, you can't hack this one. You just can't. You have to get all of the components there together. As you can see, there was Big Mike enjoying some golf and some time with the grandbaby. You know, we understand that food is medicine, that love is medicine, that laughter is medicine. And we believe that the Alkaline Way is the tour guide on this journey through life. And you can see Big Mike right here and how he's made those changes. At 6'3", he now weighs about 205 to 209 pounds. He is no longer diabetic. He does not need that metformin assistance. His medical doctor and his PA are very excited about the outcomes of this. In about 1.5 to 2 years time frame, everything was totally turned around and the weight was gone. And you can see me there next to him. So that's Big Mike is my husband, and that's why this particular presentation and this particular story is so near and dear to my heart. And it was really challenging at times, but it was very exciting to see someone take these choices seriously and to follow this program as closely as he did, and to be able to continue throughout life and throughout the last few years and be able to keep up with those changes. So thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching the whole series of presentations. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to call PERC Client Services at 800-525-7372, or get in contact with one of your clinical account specialists. That's what they're there for. That's what they're trained for. Lean on them and let them help you implement your program, your signature program, using our signature program. Thank you again. Take care. Bye-bye.